Now what we have to do is we have to do certain settings using the SA38 transaction. This is essentially a table, and we are going to make some settings to these properties called PSA to HDB destination, PSA to HDB, and then PSA to HDB schema. Now what this is PSA to HDB to destination is nothing but the connection name we just created. So for us, this is going to be DXC underscore HANA. And the next is the PSA to HDB. Now this is important because there are three options. One is global, one is system, and then one is data source. Now naturally in the business system, SAP Business Suite system, we have a lot of data sources. And if you set the PSA to HDB to global, then all the data sources will be locked to the DXC user, and when they activate those data sources, the data will be sent to the HANA system. So this can work for you if you're not using the embedded BW system and the SAP Business Suite system to do any activities or build any reports. Most clients and most customers use an external BW system which is on a separate server to do all those kind of business warehouse activities. So if you're not doing that, then you can be using global. If you want to restrict those activities of the DXC user to a specific client or a system, then you can use system. And then if you want to restrict the DXC access to a specific data source, then you can do that as well. If you do that specific data source, then you have to create certain tables and populate what kind of data sources you want to allow the DXC to use. The last property is PSA to HDB underscore schema. This is nothing but the schema in the HANA system. So in this case, it's going to be DXC user 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at how to do that. And let's get away from here. SA38. Okay. So now here we need to give the program number, which is SAP RSA admin maintain, and you can execute using this button here, and you can populate all those properties using this function here. So you write your object. So for example, and then you can write your value here, for example, global, and then you can simply insert if you don't have a record, or you can update your values. I'm not going to do that because I've already done that. So you have to do that for all the properties, and you have to make sure it's working. So how do you make sure? You can go to S11, and this is a transaction which allows you to explore the tables and take a look at the different values. Let's write the table name, RS admin, that is the name of the table which we want to see, and then you can hit display. So these are the fields. So we have the object and the value, and let's take a look at. So here if you come down, we have PSA to HDB is set to global, and then PSA to HDB underscore data source table is set to ZDXC data sources. We are not using this because it's automatic. When you set to global, this automatically is not taken into consideration. Destination is your connection name, and then PSA to HDB schema is DXC user 1. Now you have to identify the data source, and then you have to replicate the metadata, and then finally you have to change and activate. So this is a sequential process to send the metadata HANA database. To do that, we are going to use the workbench RSA1. And if you come here, these are all the data sources which you have. So how did I come here? This is how it opens up. This is 7.4. So this is how it looks in 7.4. And if you click on data sources, this is your default view. Right? So this is a generic data source. And if you click hit, you will find, if you drag down, you will be able to spot it. Okay, so this is the data source which I have pushed into the HANA database. So the steps are, you need to find your data source, and then you need to right click on it, and then you can say replicate metadata. I'm not going to do that because I've already done that. And then once you're done, you will be getting a prompt message here, and you can also, using the monitor functionality which is found about here, you can take a look at what are the current activities. After replicating the data, you have to activate the data source to actually push those values into SAP HANA. So to do that, you can right click and you can hit change. And then when you come back here, if you see the version is currently in processing, so you simply right click and you can say activate. So when you set this version to activate, then the structure will be created in the SAP HANA system. Okay, so all the things which we have done so far will get you the table structure in the HANA system. So you will be creating a series of tables. So for example, let's go back to the HANA system and let's open the DXC user. And when you open the DXC tables, you will see that you have a set of tables which have been created. And the 00 is your active table. This is the activation queue, and the rest are system tables. So when we create the models, we'll be creating on top of 00. Now, what you have so far is just the table structure. Now, if you want to push the data, you can create an info package. So you right click on the data source and then you can simply create an info package. And when you create an info package, it will show up just below it, load data into HANA. This is what I have created. And then you can simply double click on it. Okay, so when I double click on this info package, you will be able to see the information about the info package, and you'll be able to see the different tabs here. And the last tab called schedule, you can actually start this job. So when you start this job and if it executes properly, then you will have data in the SAP HANA system. Let's take a quick look at the data on the SAP HANA database. So this is the DXC user, and then you have the tables. And if you open the process chain, you will see data. That is how you push data from SAP Business Suite into SAP HANA using DXC.